On one hand, that game will be remembered as a win for the Pacers. On the other hand, yuck. Holy moly, they escape Utah with a 1-point win. That's all that matters to them, and we'll talk about what the heck that was. And my God, what's happening in the NBA on today's Locked On Pacers podcast.
You are Locked On Pacers, your daily Indiana Pacers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What up, y'all? Happy Tuesday, and welcome into another edition of the Locked On Pacers podcast, where we, of course, talk about the Indiana Pacers. As always, my name's Tony East. I cover the team for Forbes, and today, yuck. That's a win. That's a victory. People remember the game as a W in that column. On the other hand, as I already said in the intro, oh my Lord, was that an ugly game for the Pacers, who I think were behind for like 40-plus minutes in Utah. Every time they got something going, the Jazz just immediately answered. The rebounding was a mess. The shooting was a mess. And the Pacers won. Somehow, burn the tape. Never speak of this game again after this podcast. We'll talk about crunch time. Siakam's crunch time play was great. Thomas Bryant's late play was great. The rest of his game was not. They missed Myles Turner a lot. And then at the end, we'll talk about what is going on in the NBA. Some insane trades. If I have time, I'll talk about FIBA free agency. If not, I'll do that in the third segment tomorrow, because the Pacers, after that insane game, have to fly to the altitude and play the Blazers, who will also be on a back-to-back. Thank you, NBA, for a double back-to-back product. We all love that. Okay. Woo! What just happened? What just happened in Utah? Pacers win 112-111. With 5 minutes and 31 seconds on the clock, they were down 10. I'm not going to lie. I thought they were going to lose. I tweeted before the fourth quarter, or posted before the fourth quarter. I can't remember what platform it was on. Who cares? That I thought they were going to lose. They were down like 6 at the time, because they were down 6 and they kept like finding just enough punch to kind of stay in it. But I didn't think they would just randomly start playing better. Like every time they had a stretch of success, the Jazz just answered immediately, or like a lineup change fixed things for Utah. And so this game felt over to me. 101-89 was the score after an Isaiah Collier 3 when the Pacers made some subs. This was a key moment in the game. I got to give Rick Carlisle a lot of credit. I did not think this was the right move. 6:50 on the clock, down by 12. Out goes Pascal Siakam, usually reliable, and was just huge in a clutch win 2 days ago against Atlanta. And I get why that's the usual rotation. No problem with that using the usual rotation. Just in this specific instance, I thought that's kind of goofy. Jarris Walker went out. That made sense given his stint, but he had been in for a while. He played pretty well. We'll talk about that. And Ben Mathurin out. In came Obi Toppin. Okay, you need the shooting. You need someone to play center in this game. Oh, wait. Thomas Bryant's also coming in. Huh? And Aaron Nesmith. Nesmith made a ton of sense. Bryant was the real head scratcher. He had an awful game until this point, which we'll talk about later as well. So there's 6:50 to go. The Pacers are down 12. They just made some subs that I thought were kind of perplexing to make one last push. And I'm not going to lie, this says more about me than the Pacers. If I'm a player on the team, it'd be very easy for me to phone it in at this point. We're playing bad. We're in the altitude. Everything we're doing isn't working. Let's just try again tomorrow. Instead, even after Obi Toppin misses the first shot for this group, here come the Pacers. Aaron Nesmith, ton of momentum, attack down the lane, pow, 10-point game. Missed a free throw after getting fouled, but very good gusto. Pacers keep fighting. Tyrese Haliburton block. Thomas Bryant scraps the rebound. Obi Toppin 3, 5 seconds later. Perfect. They get a stop. 2 possessions later. A great jump ball from Aaron Nesmith against Walker Kessler. And then they run up the floor, and Nesmith gets fouled. He hits both free throws. They get another stop. Tyrese Haliburton, another pow, a dunk. They're down 4. Timeout, Jazz. And at that point, I thought, oh, they can do this. The problem was at that point, they'd had a lot of crazy highlight plays in this game. The block I just talked about, TJ McConnell blocked a 3. Ben Shepherd had the best Ben Shepherd highlight of his career by far. He dunked on someone after McConnell twice in a row on inbounds passes. Like, this game sounds way more exciting than it actually was. But those plays all happened and did not lead to any momentum or change in bippity-boppity for the Pacers, who were still just floundering around. So this timeout, I thought, Will Hardy's really sharp. Every time the Pacers had punched hard this game, the Jazz had hit right back because they're good at adjustments. They bring in John Collins, who had been a thorn in the Pacers' side all night, but in came Siakam at that timeout that the Jazz called, by the way. Big moment. Jazz turn it over on the inbounds. Thomas Bryant flying up the floor after just dunking, by the way, after being a monster on the glass and fighting on the inside, lays it in and one on a nice interior pass from Siakam, and all of a sudden the Pacers are down 1. That's when it felt like they could win. And they had plenty of time left. So first of all, credit to Siakam credit to Bryant for totally turning his night around at this point, as the Pacers had just mounted a 12-1 run. And they get another stop, very fortunately, as Markkanen misses a dunk. Siakam scores, and they're winning with 3:09 to go. It's their first lead since early in the quarter. And this was the Siakam show. He just had that assist. He has the dunk. He plays great defense. Thomas Bryant gets a rebound. Tyrese Haliburton comes down the other end and misses. Thomas Bryant, key rebound. All of a sudden, this front court duo, not that Siakam was like bad, he just kind of was quieter, was taking over late against a big Jazz team. No Myles Turner available for the Pacers, and they figured it out late. I thought they might lose again when they went down to the minute 45 to go. John Collins was eating him up. Siakam had just missed. Instead, key steal from Aaron Nesmith on Jordan Clarkson. Tyrese Haliburton hits a 3, and the Pacers were winning the rest of the night. They closed out with clutch free throws. They did just enough late to survive. Siakam running in for a dunk. What a turnaround in crunch time. I mean, they weren't like awful bad. And I only mean that because they shot it awful in this game. 10 for 42 from 3. Keep that in mind as you think about this game, because that clouds so much of the stuff you're doing, right? That means there's lots of fluky long rebound opportunities. The Jazz got all of them. That's not a stretch. They literally got all of them, right? That means you aren't scoring at your usual level. That's an abysmal percentage for the Pacers. That percentage from 3 is, I had the tab open and it flipped. They're third worst of the season. They have one win all year entering this night, shooting under 31% from deep. I mean, that's their 8th game that's happened, right? It's tough to overcome that bad of shooting. They didn't play well. Their defense was just okay. They were off on the glass. That does cloud a lot of things. That said, it didn't feel like they had any punch. And then for 5.5 minutes, they were just awesome out of nowhere. They deserve a ton of credit for that. And so I will make the same zoomed out point that I just made after the Hawks game. So forgive me for a little bit of a lazy point. But for those of you who have followed the Pacers the last couple of years, and maybe they revert a little bit back. They're not playing good these last 2 games after playing very well for all of January. The Pacers do not play well against bad teams, and they often lose. The Hawks come into Indy losers of 7 in a row. Their second best player, some stats say their most impactful player, is out for the year. They don't have Bogdan Bogdanovic. They don't have Clint Capella. And they made it a fight, and the Pacers found a way to win. They do not routinely do that in those kind of games. They did in that one. They go into Utah, and they stink. They stink. Their second worst performance this calendar year to me. Only the first game in San Antonio being worse. And they found a way to win. You know what good teams do against bad teams? They still find a way. In this one for the Pacers, it was masterful rim attacking, 58 points in the paint to only 50 for the Jazz. It was awesome mid-range scoring. Check out the shot charts from this game if you get a chance. Pacers were money from just inside the 3 points or the free throw circle and at the line, plus a couple right wing splashed in jumpers. They figured it out late with just enough defense. They forced 19 turnovers and they got it done. And they do deserve credit for twice in a row proving that when they need to click it into gear, they still can. They should not have been in crunch time against the Jazz and Hawks, some could say. I mean, it'd be boring if the NBA was just, oh, you have a better record, you win the game. But they do deserve a lot of credit for kind of showing some signs that maybe, it might be a little early for this, but they might be turning a corner on this whole they stink against bad teams thing. Nobody was particularly awesome in this game. Siakam was great late. Bryant was great late. I'd say Nesmith maybe was their most consistent performer, maybe Jarris Walker in this one. They had a lot of up and down. Nembhard was very good. They had a lot of up and down performers. But for the last 5.5 minutes, from the time they were down 12 to the time they won, which is over 5.5 minutes, they were all clicking. They were all better. And that is how they won a game that I would consider their second worst performance in a month and 4 days. They did not play well, and they escaped. It's their first win in Utah since the Gobert-Turner brawl in 2021. That random game that tipped off at 11:45 in the morning local time for some reason, and Chris Duarte's hitting clutch shots. That's the last time the Pacers won in that building. They don't play there very much, but still, they did it. Never speak of that game again. I'm going to do one more segment talking about it. A couple of things that stood out to me in this game, couple players, couple rotational decisions. We'll get to all that and then talk about Luka's on the Lakers. De'Aaron Fox got traded. What's happening? It's all coming on Locked On Pacers. Before we talk about any of that, though, first got to talk about BetterHelp. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. What are some of your relationship green flags? We often hear about the red flags we should avoid, but what if we focused more on identifying the positive signs in our relationships, those green flags? If you're not sure what they look like, therapy can help you identify them, actively practice them, and even embody that green flag energy yourself. Whether you're dating, married, building a friendship, or just working on yourself, therapy can help you form relationships that love you back. Therapy can also help you develop healthy boundaries, improving your communication skills. It empowers you to set clear expectations, express your needs in relationships, and provides tools for managing conflict in ways that strengthen your connections rather than break them down. BetterHelp makes it easy by offering online therapy with over 30,000 licensed therapists to choose from. And if you need to switch therapists, you can do so at no extra cost. Discover your relationship green flags with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. We're back here on Locked On Pacers. Thanks for making us your first listen today and every single day. Your second listen's got to be Locked On Jazz with David Locke. Oh, that's like, I don't think Jazz fans would ever want to hear this. Everybody wants to see their team win all the time. I would describe that as the perfect game for the 2025 Utah Jazz. Fight, show that your front court vision might be a thing. Collins and Markkanen and Micah Potter, friend of the pod, Micah Potter, were all pretty good, and their guards had some moments. Clarkson got hot right before the trade deadline, and you still lose. Good for the lottery odds. Perfect game for the Jazz. Locked On Jazz host David Locke will have more for you over there. More in Pacerland. I mean, I took a lot of notes this game because just so much yucky stuff was happening, and like the Pacers had some, like early in the game, I thought they were playing okay. They were up 5 early. Their defense was okay. Their offense was really moving the ball. And then they just did nothing well for the rest of the game. So what actually went wrong? Well, one, they didn't have Myles Turner. And man, oh man, I saw a lot of tweets like this in this game. I don't mean to make fun of anybody, okay, about like, oh, this game really shows you how important Myles Turner is. Yeah, you should have known that already. Like, I think that should have been pretty clear before a game he didn't play. But yeah, obviously, Myles Turner's really good. It's part of why the Pacers are such a good team. Thomas Bryant, fourth quarter, great job. A hero in many ways in this game. That quarter should be remembered and celebrated. The rest of the game, my God, did Thomas Bryant struggle the rest of this game. Fourth quarter, Thomas Bryant, who only played the last 6 minutes and 42 seconds. 3 for 3 with 7 points, 2 rebounds, and a steal. Remember those numbers, 7 points, 2 rebounds, a steal, plus 14 in that fourth quarter. Thomas Bryant's full stat line was 4 for 12, meaning he entered that stretch 1 for 9. He finishes the game -4, which means he was -18 when he went in there. Half of his rebounds came in the fourth quarter. Half his steals came in the fourth quarter, right? He was, woof. I think he hit his first shot too. I might be wrong on that, but I believe he did, which means he missed 8 in a row. 4 of them were threes. His rebounding was not felt to that point, 1 a quarter. He just was doing nothing. And I don't mean that to be critical because he's been awesome for the Pacers. Like exactly what they needed, the backup 5. The way he plays, the energy he provides fits very well with this team, right? He's not as good as Jalen Smith, but does a lot of stuff that Jalen Smith did last year. Like he is a good backup center. This game against a big Jazz team, Markkanen, Collins, and Kessler start. Potter and Filipowski off the bench. They're huge. Their 3 is usually huge. You need your center to be good. You need your front court to be good. And Bryant was not until the end. In fact, Siakam was really good in the fourth quarter also. Siakam goes 4 for 6 with 10 points and 2 boards in the fourth quarter. That was almost half his points and a third of his rebounds. Like the Pacers front court not meeting the Jazz front court was a big problem in this game. I thought the guards needed to step up to overmatch that, and the front court did change the game late. That's where the Pacers struggled. They were getting their butt kicked in the front court, and Bryant did not play well until that point. They had a couple other guys struggling. Mathurin was 4 for 11 in this game. I thought this could be a game where he popped a little bit. He did not. I didn't think his team defense was particularly good either. Haliburton was 6 for 15. in this one, 3 for 10 on threes. Pacers in general, everybody gets a little bit of a pass, but they could not make anything. I mean, they missed a ton of good threes. And I have this thought I want to say. Okay, I understand why, like, if you're taking bad threes or contested threes, if you're watching them do that, you should say, stop shooting threes, right? People say this a lot. They say, oh, they can't make a three. They should attack the rim. And, like, the spirit of what you're saying is right. If something isn't working, maybe try something else. But shooting in particular is just so, like, kind of variance based that I kind of disagree. Like, if you're taking good threes, keep taking them. Think of the inverse of what you're saying. If a team was generating a bunch of wide open layups and kept missing them, no one would ever say, oh, they should stop taking layups. They should take threes. No, you'd say, keep doing the thing you're doing to get wide open layups. I get the moral difference of what I just said, but I think that argument's a little silly. And the Pacers kept shooting, much to their credit, which did save them a little. They did finally hit threes in the fourth quarter. Just kidding. They only made 2. They hit threes in crunch time in particular. Toppin kicking one off to start their final stretch. Haliburton hitting one to actually close out the game. But they did not shoot well in this game despite a lot of good looks. Bryant wasn't good. Siakam didn't step up till late. They just had a lot going poorly for them. Their bench was pretty good. Despite an off-scoring night from McConnell, he had nice assists, was making good rim pressure. Ben Shepherd was everywhere on the floor in this game. Toppin was making shots and getting rebounds. Aaron Nesmith, probably the best pacer in terms of compared to expectations and the amount of time he played. 26 minutes for Nesmith. He made all 3 of his 2-point shots. He made 5 free throws, including 2 clutch ones. He's been money from the foul line late 2 games in a row. He had 7 boards. He had 3 steals. He was plus 10. He closed again. Very noteworthy. 2 clutch games in a row for the Pacers, their first 2 of this year. Nesmith's closed both. Like, that should be noted. You know, I know there's a lot of talk about who should start and who should play for the Pacers, rightfully so. I've had that conversation on this podcast many a time. But Nesmith is closing. When they feel like they need to get their best 5 on the floor, Aaron Nesmith has been on there. And he has stepped up in both games, at the foul line, on defense, lots of things. He has done very well. But there's just nothing that went well for the Pacers in this game. I mean, how often does a team win getting out-rebounded by 23? I mean, it's unbelievable. It's not even that. Like, it's kind of hard to fathom that number is even there. The Jazz missed 52 shots. The Pacers missed 38. So start there. Keep that in mind as a rebounding difference. There were that many extra chances for the Jazz to get defensive rebounds. I understand that difference. The 17-6 offensive rebound swing, huge. The turnovers, 18-10, 18-9, balance that out a little bit. But the Jazz, they're huge. They crushed the rebounds to an extreme degree. That probably would have been my lead had the Pacers lost. What happened on the glass, right? Their shooting was terrible. That masked a lot of things. Nobody played particularly well, and they found a way to get it done. A couple other standout things as I browse back through my notes with my eyeballs. Jarris Walker back in the rotation because Myles Turner's out. One, if you listen to me at all before the season, I said many a time, Jarris is going to play way more this year than last year just because of games like this. One guy's out. Doesn't matter the position. Pacers can move around their rotation and get Jarris Walker minutes. That's exactly what happened tonight. They didn't have their usual 5, so they instead just play Obi Toppin as their backup 5, move everybody down a slot. Jarris Walker slides in as the backup 4, and it went really well. I thought he was quite good. 4 for 6 in this game, 3 boards and assists, 2 blocks. He had the marking assignment a lot. There's a reason he played more than Shepherd, more than McConnell, almost as much as Toppin, because he was legitimately good. Good enough, in fact, that Carlisle turned to Walker Siakam as a front court combo. Not that that sounds crazy to say. It's not at all crazy to say. It's just not something he ever goes to, really. It's almost always Siakam Toppin when they want to go small. And Thomas Bryant was giving them so much trouble they couldn't even go to it. But on the season, the Siakam Walker combo, only a couple, like not that many minutes, right? So turning to that in this one as their center combo, I should say, only a few minutes. They've played together quite a bit in general. I thought that was very noteworthy and telling both of the way Jarris was playing and the way Thomas Bryant was playing. But credit to Jarris, right? This is what he's going to have to do to earn time. He played well enough today to keep saying that he's played well, and all of his appearances basically are pretty good, or most of his appearances since December. You know, if he keeps fighting for rotation minutes, it's going to be hard to keep looking away if he keeps playing like this. But that was extremely important, I thought, in this game. Andrew Nembhard was quite good. 10 points, 8 assists, 2 steals, only 1 turnover. I don't think the stats do him justice. I thought he was the most consistent starter for the Pacers in this game. So credit to a lot of their best defensive players, basically, were really huge in this game, as were the turnovers for the Jazz. And last note, two more actually. One, Ben Shepherd, the dunk of his life. Wow, was that amazing. Late in the third quarter off a McConnell steal, yammed all over someone. I've never seen that from Ben Shepherd. It was incredible. And then in the days of the moment, the Jazz almost got McConnelled again. They had to call a timeout. It was a huge swing. The bench, their plus minuses were only okay. They were slightly above average, but their energy and play were huge in this game. Last note, just because they play them tomorrow night. One, the Pacers play the Blazers on a back-to-back tomorrow. That stinks. The Blazers are also on a back-to-back. They went to overtime with the Suns, so they might be a little gassed. That said, people might say, oh, they lost to the 21-win Blazers. That's an awful loss. The Blazers have won 8 of 9. They're playing awesome. I've had a lot of fun watching the Blazers recently. I don't know what the version of the Blazers that's going to show up on a back-to-back after overtime, but they are a really good team right now. They just beat the Suns twice in a row. They've beaten a lot of very good teams in the stretch. The Blazers are not a bad loss if it happens tomorrow. That's not just me hedging. That is real analysis of the Portland Trail Blazers. Speaking of analysis, what is happening? What is going on in the NBA? I'm going to try to give you some brief thoughts on the trades that we've seen so far, just for funsies, mostly because I want to be the first person to talk about the Luka Doncic trade on a podcast. We'll get to that to close out today's Locked On Pacers. Before we do so, though, we need to talk about FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here, only a few days away. One game, two teams, endless possibilities, and there is no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether it's predicting the first touchdown, calling the MVP, or even betting on the coin toss, FanDuel makes it easy to get in on the action. With live betting all game long, you can adjust your bets as the game unfolds and feel the thrill from kickoff to the final whistle. The live betting feature lets you stay involved no matter what happens on the field, and the app is super easy to navigate. Plus, knowing that you can place a $5 bet and potentially win $200 in bonus bets for the Super Bowl, that is the icing on the cake. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. Bet just $5. And if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Bet with FanDuel, an official partner of Super Bowl 59. We're back here on Locked On Pacers. Thanks for making us your first listen today and every single day, or second listen. I could go on and on. Locked On Lakers because they have Luka. Locked On Mavs because they have Anthony Davis. Locked On Spurs because they have De'Aaron Fox. Locked On Kings because they have Zach LaVine. Locked On Bulls because they have Zach Collins, Kevin Huerter. Locked On Jazz because they have Jalen Hood-Schifino and PJ Tucker. Locked On Clippers because they have Drew Eubanks. I mean, the trades are here. Locked On Thunder because they just somehow traded second-round picks with the Hornets for no reason. I haven't figured that one out yet. Lots of trades are happening. Listen to yesterday's podcast with Nate Duncan if you want more on the Pacers trade deadline. I warned you guys in the beginning. I said, if you're a Mathurin fan, you're not going to like it. A lot of people didn't like it. I knew that was coming, but I always appreciate national perspectives, and I think it's important that you do too, from people that I know actually do the work, regardless of if I agree with them or not. Let's talk about trades that have happened around the NBA. One, what on earth happened Saturday night? What? Luka Doncic got traded to the Lakers. This trade was so crazy that I thought Shams got hacked. People texted me and said, what? Huh? And I said, I don't think this is real. And then he tweeted, yes, this is real. And I thought he would only say that if it was someone who hacked his account. It is real. That's crazy. I can't believe it. I truly can't believe it. Anthony Davis is underrated. He's very good. Anthony Davis would fetch a ton if the Mavs turned and traded him right now, right? The people are clowning the return a little prematurely. It's too low. To be clear, it is much too low. I would not have traded Luka for this package if I was running the Mavs. Anthony Davis is really good. Mavs could be awesome this year. There's a chance, no doubt, right? What are they doing? What is this? The fact that they didn't negotiate with other teams and admit it as such because they wanted to keep it sneaky and a secret. Why do you have a front office? What are you doing? Aren't you supposed to go out there and look for other offers and have someone provide some clarity on, hey, maybe this is not the smartest idea? Made no sense. Let's pretend their reasons that they've given are true. They think Luka's conditioning stinks, and they think he might sign the Supermax and it would screw them, or he might not sign the Supermax and put him in a bind. Okay, I would respond with two things. One, even if he's out of shape, he's amazing. They just made the finals last year. We all saw that, right? Two, sorry, I'm like making a weird voice because I'm fake yelling. Two, if you're scared of what's going to happen with his next contract, right? The summer is coming up when they can offer him the Supermax. If he accepts it and you still hate what's happening, trade him a year after when you legally can in 2026. You'll get a ton for a Luka Doncic under contract for 5 years. Or if he says, hey, I'm not signing Supermax, I don't want to be in Dallas anymore, great. Then shop him then. Say, hey, NBA, Luka Doncic is available. Because I have a hunch that at that time, he'd be 26, that 26-year-old Luka Doncic, even if he was openly posturing to be traded, would get more on the open market than the Anthony Davis they have right now. So the value stinks because the paths they didn't take are worth more, and they didn't do their job as a front office. I just can't believe it. I just cannot believe it. Among the biggest things that happen in the NBA, maybe ever, depending on how this goes in La La Land, maybe Luka stinks there or retires early like Andrew Luck or something, and then everybody's really overblown this, but this is insane. It is unreal. Unreal. One of the biggest sports moments in my life, which is insane to say. Luka's that good. The top 3 player in his prime getting traded. I thought Dan Feldman at Dunked On did a great job running through why this is such an unprecedented trade. So that one, I think the Mavs could be good this year. Anthony Davis is quite good, but the Lakers are huge winners, huge winners. I don't know why people are questioning the fit of Luka and LeBron. Luka and Kyrie was a great fit. Kyrie had the ball at the time. It's going to be awesome. Probably maybe not quite as good as the Anthony Davis fit this year, but they can build around Luka now for a long time. I mean, that is unbelievable for the Lakers. That is just unbelievable. A lot of questions I've gotten about, could the Lakers now turn back for Myles Turner? If they offer their 2031 unprotected first and find a way for a third team to get involved with the center, I still probably wouldn't do it as the Pacers, but I mean, they have less stuff now and less salaries to trade. So no, they also don't have Anthony Davis, which is part of the appeal of the Turner-Davis front court. So no, I would say I do not expect that, but I don't expect Turner to get traded anyway, as I've said many times in this show. Insane trade. Mavs, D- to F. Actually, screw that. I'm saying D- because I think Anthony Davis is getting underrated, but the answer is F. F-. That's so dumb. Lakers, A+++++++. Congratulations. Trade 2, the one everybody wants to talk about. Drew Eubanks. I'm just kidding. Good for the Clippers. I thought that was a good trade for the Clippers, though. Mo Bamba, PJ Tucker to the Jazz. It's fine. Jazz got some picks. Speaking of Jazz getting some picks, Jalen Hood-Schifino. They get an A for both of those trades. They got assets for nothing. The actual big second trade involving an East team, one in the Pacers division. The Bulls, they trade Zach LaVine. The Kings, they trade De'Aaron Fox. I think that's going to be a closer offensive match for the Kings than people think, but Fox is a much better defender than LaVine, so we'll see how that actually goes for Sacramento, who won, by the way, tonight without Fox. Fascinating trade. A rare win-win-win to me. People clowned this Bulls return for LaVine. That contract is not good. I think they did a good job to get their own pick back, assuming that they use this opportunity to now tank and not be afraid of where they land. If they get their pick back to say, great, we can get the 10 seed now and get the 12th pick and we'll keep it because their pick was top 10 protected, that would be dumb. That would be stupid. But as a tentative point, they can eventually reflip Collins or Herter next year. They could flip Trey Jones right now. I like the return for the Bulls to split that salary into 3 more manageable ones. I love it for the Spurs, who kept all their young guys and can trade picks every year because they had extra picks every year and only gave up one legitimately could be great first. They could have 2 lottery picks this year between their own and the Hawks. The Spurs are set up awesome. De'Aaron Fox is among the best fits with Wemby. There's a lot of, obviously someone better than him would be a better fit, but an actual guy who tries on defense as a star guard who can set him up and is a blur and is going to get them in transition. Love it for the Spurs. Love it. The way they were able to manage the picks and keep their swap with the Kings in 2031. And I like it for the Kings. I think LaVine's good and will fit there, even though his contract is yikes. I know that I think LaVine and Sabonis will have a great handoff game because LaVine can just rise up and shoot around that in a way that no Sabonis teammate ever has been able to. They got off Kevin Huerter's money, and they got a really good first for a guy that might be gone in a year, and the Spurs first they got will be decent. It's not an awesome return. I think the Kings probably did the worst, but I'd still give them like a B-ish, B-, and they should probably be fishing for a wing now on the market, and they have stuff to do it. But they have like multiple years now of Sabonis, DeRozan, LaVine. That will make you at least good-ish. They have Keegan Murray. They'll be okay. I actually like the off-ramp path they chose, but they have to now add to this. If this is all they do, I will not be as thrilled for them. But that's a win-win-win trade. I like those around the league. That is all we. Oh, and the The Thunder traded a second that's not theirs to the Hornets, and the Hornets sent a second that's not theirs in a different year. Who cares? I don't get that trade. I'll have to make some texts around to see what's going on with the Thunder. Regardless, that is every NBA trade to this point. I'm not going to break down all of them on this show. This is a Pacers show. But the Luka trade was so huge, and the Fox trade was big and involved a team in the Pacers division, and I mostly just wanted to talk about them. I'm not going to do this for every trade, though. And I wanted to talk about the Fever. I have actually 2 requests to talk about Fever free agency. So if the Portland game is equally kind of yuck tomorrow, I will fit in the third segment, talk about Fever free agency, plus one of their star additions this offseason, Natasha Howard. Her introductory press conference is on Tuesday. So I'll do that for the third segment tomorrow. I know some people don't like those, but alas. And then, so that'll be Wednesday's show, Portland post game. Thursday, deadline day, Rhett Bauer is going to join. If the Pacers haven't made trades by then, we'll talk about what has happened, how that changes the market dynamics, more of the more credible reporting of late. And then Thursday is deadline day. So there'll be a midday pod that day with Derek Kramer about what the Pacers did or did not do. And then that night they play, and we'll talk about the game that they play. And then Saturday they play the Lakers, who have Luka Doncic now. So, oh my, are you getting a lot of fun stuff on Locked On Pacers this week. Thank you guys for listening today. I hope you enjoyed yesterday's show with Nate Duncan. Really happy to have him on. I try to get one, very prominent media figure on around the trade deadline every year, and I'm glad that Nate agreed to do it. You can find me on Twitter at Tony Tyrese. This podcast has a Twitter feed as well at Locked On Pacers. I'm on Blue Sky at Tony Tyrese as well. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Back tomorrow talking more Pacers. Till then, have a wonderful day.